Okay, welcome everyone to our November 24th, 2022 council meeting. We have three new councillors that I'd like to welcome first before we start anything. Or they will be sworn in on councillors. So right now we have Vince McGraw, Daniel Lee, and Eric Nippert. I'd like to thank you all for coming forward and partaking in the council. We now have a full complement of council. And we can all work together for the betterment of our community and bring things in the way they should be. So I welcome you all here and thank you for coming out. First of all, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Secondly, under our council meeting agenda, we're going to have our oath of office. So I'll start with Vince McGraw. If you would read your oath of office, please.
I, Vince McGraw, do solemnly swear that I am fully qualified to hold the office of councillor for the municipality of Kippens, which I have been appointed. I have not knowingly convened the municipal election act respect any matter in relation to my election or appointment. I will faithfully, to the best of my ability, perform the duties and responsibility of my office, and will not allow any direct or indirect monetary or personal private interest to influence my conduct or affect my public duties. I will disclose any personal direct or indirect monetary interest that I have in the matter before the council, and will not participate in the discussion, vote, or any of such matter. I will, if required by law, file an annual conflict of interest disclosure statement, and I will, as required by the Municipal Election Act, file a campaign contribution disclosure statement, which requires the time period established by the Act. Okay. I think that's it, is it?
So help me God.
Oh, so help me God.
All right. Thank you, Vince. We'll go on to Daniel Lee now.
I, Daniel Lee, do solemnly swear that I am fully qualified to hold the office of councillor for the municipality of Kippens, to which I have been appointed. I have not knowingly contravened the Municipal Elections Act respecting any matter in relation to my election or appointment. I will faithfully, to the best of my ability, perform the duties and responsibilities of my office and will not allow any direct or indirect monetary or other personal or private interests to influence my conduct or affect my public duties. I will disclose any personal direct or indirect monetary interest that I have in a matter before the council and will not participate in discussion or vote on any such matter. I will, if required by law, file an annual conflict of interest disclosure statement, and I will, as required by the Municipal Elections Act, file a campaign contributions disclosure statement within the required time period established by the Act. So help me God.
Thank you, Daniel. And now Mr. Eric Nippert.
I, Eric Nippert, do solemnly swear that I am fully qualified to hold the office of councillor for the municipality of Kippens, to which I have been appointed. I have not knowingly contravened the Municipal Elections Act respecting any matter in relation to my election or appointment. I will faithfully, to the best of my ability, perform the duties and responsibilities of my office and will not allow any direct or indirect monetary or other personal or private interests to influence my conduct or affect my public duties. I will disclose any personal direct or indirect monetary interest that I have in a matter before the council and will not participate in the discussion or vote on any such matter. I will, if required by law, file an annual conflict of interest disclosure statement, and I will, as required by the Municipal Elections Act, file a campaign's contributions disclosure statement within the required time period established by the Act. So help me God.
Thank you, Eric. And again, welcome all our new councillors, Eric Nippert, Daniel Lee, and Vince McGraw. Moving forward, I look for a motion to adopt October 27th, 2022 council meeting agenda. Moved by Councillor Barrett, seconder. Second by Deputy Mayor Brian House. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adopt November 24th, 2022 council meeting agenda.
You just did that one.
I did the October 27th.
Oh, the meeting, okay. Thank you.
What did I? Oh, sorry. Yep. The first one was October 27th, council meeting minutes, sorry. Okay, so now it's motion to adopt November 24th, 2022 council meeting agenda. So seconder? Here. Second by Councillor House. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to adopt September 6th, 2022 volunteer firefighter meeting minutes. We have a seconder? Second. Second by Councillor Derek House. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to adopt October 4th, 2022 volunteer firefighter meeting minutes. Yeah, 2 lots there, okay. Have a seconder for that, please. Second by Councillor Derek House. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, under financial, we have requests for approval of invoices for October 22nd in the amount of $57,663.74. So moved. As moved by Councillor Derek House. Second by Earl Barrett. Councillor Barrett, my apologies. Sorry. We have any discussion?
So you guys have reviewed these like you did before? No issues with them?
We got them.
Touche.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request for donation to the Santa Claus parade. I'm gonna turn that to, or ask Josie, our acting town clerk. We always made a donation to the parade, correct?
We did, yes,
In the amount of
$300.
$300. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to, is that Kippens? Yes. Okay.
No,
I didn't know if you
that's the
did
town
check.
of Stephenville. We always,
Oh, that's telling you.
Maybe you can get that.
I didn't think you were
Oh,
wrong.
it's United, I think it's Knights of Columbus that we donated to because they set it up.
Okay.
Okay, so though in our town name shows up?
No, we don't, we're not putting in a,
Okay. So it's
Oh,
just a
vote
this
donation
year.
to,
Yeah, we benefit from it too.
makes sense. I move we donate the same $300 amount that we had in past years. They weren't looking for any monetary figure.
All right, so you heard the motion and brought forward by Councillor or Deputy Mayor Brian House. That's second. Second by Councillor Eric Knepper. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. New business. We don't have anything under new business. Permits now. I can turn that over to. There was a request for a donation. You sent out an email tonight. I don't know if that's here or next meeting. They were asking for funds for a Christmas community cafe.
yeah, that's that one over.
I got one for the high school. And it might be a little late to do it at our next meeting.
Yeah. It was late coming in.
It's just that community education network one? Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, community education. And how much were they? You have in the past, and we're doing it. Oh, sorry,
No, it's my family member that is involved with that. I don't know if I can go.
okay, if you were declaring yourself in.
I
just
don't know if it is or not. Family member is one.
Well, to be err on the side of caution, then I would declare yourself in conflict. You don't have to leave the room, but you, yeah, you won't vote on it. Better safe than sorry. I think in the past, as far as I can recollect, I served with them to help, like preparations of food. I'm not on the committee, but. Yeah. And I think that down to Stephenville and down to Kippens both donate $500. And that covers more than that one meal, obviously. Yes. Yeah. Because a meal is running them somewhere between $350 to $400. The Christmas one's a little more, more expensive again.
And December the 8th, it says.
Sorry?
December the 8th is the
Yeah.
date of it.
Yes,
I'm
date.
looking at the letter here now.
Yeah, and you're all welcome to come down and wash dishes. Does it up at home?
Not used on.
Okay, well, Earl, you know, about it, you want to bring a motion forward?
I just make a motion that we donate $500 to the Community Education Network to help with the cost of their Christmas Community Cafe.
Okay, you heard a motion brought forward by Councillor Barrett. Do I have a seconder? Second. Second by Councillor Derek House. I also want to note that Councillor Lee has declared himself in conflict of interest because he has a family member that works with the association. I have that stated on our
Will I be in a conflict? I mean, they do this at Lions Club.
Well, I'm not sure if it would be or not.
Yeah,
so I'm
no,
just-
but I'm just wondering myself,
Yeah.
when they do this at Lions Club. And Steve, I'm a member of the Lions Club. Does that put me in conflict?
But if you were coming forward for money for the Lions Club, I would at that time declare yourself in conflict.
How about some of the Lions Club? You're giving it away.
So our budget for donation, stuff like that, you guys have been looking at budget, so, yeah, but that would be, out of this year's budget, so we have enough money there.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so you heard the motion. It was brought forward and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we also have a letter here from the Stevenville High School. Oh, no, that's not looking for a donation.
Scholarship?
No, okay, this is graduation ceremony. Okay, we'll discuss that later, you and I, Brian.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna move on to our permits. We have two permits. And I'll get, first one is a request to build a storage shed at 39B Kippens Road. So we can have a motion to bring that forward.
So moved.
Okay,
Is it under compliance?
pardon me?
Has it been checked for if it's in compliance?
Yes, well, we're gonna get to that. So you heard the request or devotion,
What was the address again?
39B Kippens Road. Josie, that was all checked out?
Yeah.
And they're in full compliance? Okay. Do I have the seconder?
Second.
Second by Councillor House. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Request to build a house at 12 Driftwood Drive. I'm assuming that's all in full compliance, Joseph?
We had a look at that one
We had a
on
look
the
at that.
Planning and Development Committee, and there appears to be no issues with it.
Okay, well, Brian, I'll let you bring that one forward, please.
Yeah, I have no problem with the approval of the permit for that one. We had a look at it and Derek and I reviewed it and everything appears to be in compliance. There's no issues.
Okay, so you heard the motion brought forward by Deputy Mayor. Have a seconder?
Second, yeah.
Second by Councillor Derek House. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Additional business.
Budget.
That's under, yeah. But additional business would be the budget, so I'll turn that up to the finance.
Read that one early to make room.
Think everybody should have a copy of the budget from, and most of you probably seen it the first time tonight, so
So we're gonna review something.
okay?
We're gonna review something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'll rely on Derek, but there's never a mistake. Okay, page 3, I think there's no debt charge summary, because we have no debt. Hallelujah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
And we do all the expenditures first when we do the budget. Then we have a look at the revenue side and see what we need to balance and see whether we have enough funds to be able to have a balanced budget, or whether we have to look at increasing tax rate to balance the budget. So expense wise, I don't know if you want me to go down for everyone, or
No.
you just want to have a quick look at it yourselves and
yeah, you can do like the total general
Yeah.
stuff and, yeah.
and if you've got questions, just stop me at any point in time.
Yep.
General administration is $543,500. And you'll see that under 1.2 on page 3. Municipal elections and by-elections, 750. Property assessment services, that's what they call that outfit.
As to the municipal assessment.
Municipal
agency.
assessment agency, 27,300. In total, general government is $594,050.
Okay.
Protective services, which is really, for all intents and purposes, fire protection, the majority of it, 87,500.
Okay.
Transportation services, that's roads, streets, sidewalks, snow removal, fleet management, $320,000. Environmental health, which is water and sewer, really, $271,000. Planning and development, 18,500. Recreation and cultural services, 143,300. And we do make donations to the stadium and the swimming pool. That's why that figure is on the high side, because it's a regional service. Page 6, there are no debt charges. Transfers to authorized reserves, we got a provision for uncollectible taxes. And we got the capital expenditures from the federal gas tax. And federal and provincial, sorry. And that totals 192,277. No, I'm sorry, transfers and reserves are 192,277. The total for all is 274,277,000. Bank charges $5,000, which gives us a total charge of $279,277 for fiscal services. And the expenditure part of the budget is $1,713,000, 627 cents. $627. Wow, I'm not used to these big numbers. Okay, on revenue side of page 7. Assessed values, 191 million roughly at a mill rate of 4.75 gives us $909,122.93 in property tax.
So the assessed values and the mill rate,
Yep.
same as past years, the mill rate is the same, but is the assessed values up, down?
The assessed values are up by about $6,000.
Some are up, some are down, but
But
overall,
overall $6,000 has increased by from last year.
So the rate is 4.75, it's not, okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
The commercial, non-residential, rate is the same, 4.75, $11,221.88. Unfortunately, this is an automatic calculation, so it's not rounded off to the nearest dollar or nearest $5. They
Okay.
actually do. Municipal affairs wants pennies for some reason. Vacant land, $24,600, giving us total property tax of $944,944.80. Water and sewer, the water tax is $244,620.
And that didn't increase also, right?
Well, what we did, we went through all the expenditures and we went through the known revenue based on last year's rates. Just to see where we'd end up.
Okay.
To see whether or not we had to look at increases, because I think in this day and age, for what's been happening in the economy, nobody wants to see an increase in taxes.
No.
Unless it's absolutely necessary.
If you don't mind, I'll
No,
just
yeah.
cover that a little bit
Yeah.
towards the end. So we got residential water and sewer, well, no sewer, but residential water, $244,620,000. Commercial water, total is $7,920, giving us a total water tax revenue of $252,540. We also have business tax and a utility tax. We get funds back from the utility companies for allowing them to use our property, basically, $102,000. That brings a total of $1,299,484 for taxes and related revenue. We then get into revenue from other sources, which is on page 10. Assessments and levies and fees, $4,400. Interest from investments, $6,000. And revenue from other sources, $7,500, for a total of $17,900.
What kinds of things are in the 7,500?
Sorry?
What kinds of things are in the 7,500, revenue from other sources? Just.
You gotta
by
direct
example.
that question that way. For other revenue,
Haven't got my notes.
like when people run for council, they get paid $10.
Yeah.
You need a lot of people running for council, just $7,500.
You mentioned here.
Rental with our community center one, another,
Oh, rental of community centers, so it's just, it's a
Little things I've made.
a various.
Building permits, I suppose.
yeah. Building permits.
Well, that would be under levies, fees and charges.
Well, yeah, it's, I think it's almost a consistent figure we've had. Yeah,
Okay.
it hasn't changed much.
So being new at this game, we said, we will not change the figure unless there was something outstanding, something we knew about. Question, Georgia, really, there was nothing out of the ordinary there, since the budget for the same figure we had in the prior year.
Okay.
Municipal operating grant is $71,221. The provincial gas tax rebate, $26,760 for total provincial grants of $97,981. We then get the federal gas tax rebate of $96,371. Both of those add up to a total of $194,372. Now, I'm gonna get to your question about the mill rate. When we looked at this, we were, in terms of getting the balanced budget, we were $201,890 short of the balanced budget. We have currently surpluses of approximately $1.8 million. Sooner than sit around here tonight and debate how much should we increase the mill rate by, what we're proposing is that we take $201,890 from our current surplus and use that to fund our operations going forward sooner than look at a tax rate increase. And that's what that figure is there under other. It's prior year's surplus. If we do that, it will give us a balanced budget.
Okay.
So I guess that's the one that we need approval of the budget. What I would imagine we need approval to apply prior year's surplus to the budget as well.
Okay, so, that would be two separate motions, a motion to bring the budget forward, and then a motion to take the extra 201,000 out of our.
And that would only be if it's needed. Right now, for budget purposes, yes, but if it's not needed,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about it.
So we have those two motions if you decide which one you want to bring them forward, one at a
I'll
time.
move to bring in the budget forward. And Derek can move
Yeah.
surplus adoption. Then if there's any questions, Derek, if you want to get clobbered, not me.
After what?
Do you have any, do the new counselors have any questions about the budget or any processes of it?
No.
Pretty clear.
As a basic principle, I mean, I support not increasing the mill rate unless we absolutely have to. It makes more sense. There's enough things being downloaded onto people these days with increases in everything you look at. So I think it makes good common sense to do that.
Some people will probably see an increase in their taxes because the assessment on their property has gone up.
Yeah. Well, that's not
Like I
us.
said, overall, it's only gone up $6,000,
Yeah.
so I don't
Some will
think.
see an increase, some will see a decrease.
Yeah,
Okay, so you heard the motion brought forward to accept the budget by Councillor Earl Barrett. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Second by Councillor House. Any further discussion?
Can I abstain?
no, you can't abstain.
Can't
Oh,
abstain.
sorry.
No, that's fine, Earl, but you can't abstain, sorry.
Oh, a little bit, you know, I just don't feel like I'm disagreeing with something I have no idea about, right?
Yeah,
I was, because I hear what the vote is actually on, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things when municipal affairs does the training, we are not allowed to abstain from any votes.
Unless it's a con-
Unless it's a conflict of interest is different, right? And that's the only instance that they spelled it.
And Daniel, this is new to all of us.
I'm
I realize where you're coming from, when The mayor said to me, well, you got that budget there, I said, what?
Okay, so any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I bring forward a motion to use our funds, surplus funds from previous years to balance the budget for 2023. Approximately $201,000. And it will be used as required.
And that's being brought forward because we don't want to,
We do not want to increase the mill rates. We do not want to increase the water rates. As Kippens may have said, people have been hit hard enough this year. The gasoline taxes and the price of gasoline, the price of food, price of everything is gone sky high, so we felt that it was, if we could use this money to keep people at least not facing a large increase, we're quite satisfied with that.
okay, so you heard the motion brought forward by Councillor House. Do you have a seconder? Second by Councillor McGraw. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Sorry, just for your own benefit, by the way, before doing the budget, we did sit down with the town office. We went through all financial statements with him, to make sure that we were on the right track. I don't know if that's going really.
There's no numbers, there's, in any budgetary process, just checks and balances for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not so.
Okay, motion carried. We'll continue on now with our committee reports. I'm going to start here at my left with Deputy Mayor Brian House.
Okay, I was just gonna give you a report on a meeting that I attended on behalf of the town on November the 17th, this last week.
Thursday.
The weeks all run together.
I know.
There were representatives there from Waste Management, Western, out of Corner Brook. Lynn Howell was there, along with a couple of other people. Trent Quinton and Jason King. Yeah, and it was also representatives there from the town of Stephenville, from Stephenville Crossing, and from St. George's, because the garbage contract that we have covers those 4 municipalities. And I think it appears to be allotted out based on households, Paul, I think. I think it's the number of households, it's your share of what the contract is. And the issue that was being talked about, I guess it brought about the meeting, was that they were having trouble with the recycling that was being sent out from here, from the other 3 towns in the area. And what Waste Management was alleging was that the issue centered around the trucks, our carrier, which is Containerized Sanitation. That's Jason Keating and Sharon Keating. They're the principals with that company. And what Waste Management said was that there's no issues anywhere else of a similar nature anywhere in the Western region. And so they feel that there was a problem with the trucks that were being used to carry the recycling and normal household waste. So the clear bags and the blue bags that are going out. The trucks are set up, I think, with a 60-40 split. And so it's 60% clear bag for garbage and 40% recycling. When the truck was getting out to the transfer site out there in St. George's, the blue bags were basically covered in they called it a sludge or a slime. And so what happened was that, they go through and they dump the garbage in the area that was allotted for that with the clear bags, and then the blue bags would be pushed out of the truck. And without exception, the blue bags were considered contaminated recycling products, and therefore they couldn't be recycled. Nova Recycling in Corner Brook is where all that stuff goes to be recycled. And they wouldn't accept it because the bags were contaminated outside and in some cases compromised inside. And they alleged that it had to do with the trucks. So we had some heated discussion and some good discussion on it. trying to figure out what happened, because, you know, there might have been some thoughts that some of it could have been contaminated in the area where, out in St. George's, where the stuff is picked up and then moved towards Scotia Recycling. But in the end, I think they're pretty certain that it's a truck issue. Now, Jason and Sharon have indicated that they are going to try and clean the trucks up by sandblasting the insides of them. They're going to put some new epoxy paint on them to try and keep it from being contaminated, and do whatever else that they can. And they even talked about maybe having to go to a setup where you have different days for recycling and different days for garbage. Now, I don't know how that would work, because it's tough enough to get residents to get garbage of one day a week without trying to double it up. Plus, there's additional costs for fuel and everything else with that. So I don't think anybody wants to go there. Now, they're currently dealing with the issue, and I got to give Jason some credit. They've tried to do what they can with it. They're even going out now with the trucks that have clear and blue bags, and they're dumping the clear bags, keeping the blue bags aboard their truck, bringing it back down, and they got 4 people that are going through the recycling and making sure everything is cleaned off and suitable to bring back there so that there's not an issue with it. And, you know, so far it's working. They're not having any products that are coming back as being contaminated. And it's an issue for us as a town, because the cost that we were paying per ton for household waste was $169 a ton. Yeah, $169 a ton, I believe. And blue bag contaminated, there was an additional charge of about $70 a ton on that. So it was costing us $239 a ton to take the blue bag stuff out. And it shouldn't have, you know, it shouldn't have cost us that kind of way. It's more than we were paying for the clear bag stuff. So anyway, that's kind of where it was left, that they were going to see what happened and try and work through the process. Because I don't know that it's feasible for Jason to continue doing what they're doing with having the 4 people clean up the recycling. Because I think he even indicated that they were taking it back out in their carrier and dumping it and paying the tipping fees themselves for the recycling, because they just don't want to have an issue between themselves and the towns. So
Well, it sounds like there's a mixing of bags. I mean, I've been watching it sometimes. They grab both bags in one hand and just let it go.
Yeah.
So all these go in the same spot.
Yeah.
So that's where your contamination is.
it seems like it now. The stuff is compressed. I'm not an expert on.
No, I'm not either.
But I know that, like he indicated, he needs, I think, 4 trucks to do the runs, and I think he has 10 trucks in varying states of repair or disrepair. And indicated that it's tough to get things fixed these days. A lot of them, you know, might have this missing on them or that missing on them, and they've even been trying to get some new trucks, and there's just no market for it, because nobody can get the new trucks now, and because of that, people that normally sold off the old ones within so many years, they're not hitting the market now in the same way that they would right now. Now, I think the higher tipping fees were charged, I guess, to try and highlight the issue that was happening with the recycling, and that's why they added it on there. Now, I think, Josie, you had indicated that Jason and Sharon had come back and indicated that they'd be willing to pay the town back for the additional fees.
Yes.
So that means that $70 a ton, we won't have to pay the cost. They're going to pick that up, and right now they're not having any issues with the recycling that's going back out there.
Okay.
One thing, while we're talking about the garbage issue, I think Paul had mentioned to me, and a couple of other people had asked about disposing of moose garbage, for one of a better way to put it. I guess it's mainly the hides and possibly some of the bones and things like that. Because it seemed like there was an indication, and our containerized sanitation was of the understanding that they could not take things like hides. But I asked specifically the waste management group out there, and they said that yes, the hides can be put in as garbage in a clear bag. Now you have to observe weight restrictions. So Josie, you couldn't just slam 4 hides into a bag, because I don't think it would meet the weight restriction, that they got for garbage. But I mean, if somebody has maybe 1 or 2 quarters of moose hides in a bag, they can accept it. So Jason is aware of that now, and, you know, they don't want innards and things like that, but I mean, you know, if it's a few bones, a few moose bones and the hides and that, it is acceptable as garbage in clear bags.
Because we were having some issues with people dumping their hides up here,
Can
and it was
imagine that,
attracting
yeah.
animals. Right?
I think we got enough racks.
Well, apparently one gentleman called me one day, he said he saw a bear up there.
Yeah, well, if people hike, you don't want the two of them, don't mix good.
No. So now that that's straightened out, people that do moose hunt and trying to dispose of it, now they know they can dispose of it through the garbage as opposed to throwing it up there in the woods.
How do they know they can?
Well, through this-
Inform them.
Through this meeting, hopefully
Okay.
that's watching and,
Yeah.
you know, we can probably, yeah, get the word out ourselves that, you know.
Tell all your friends.
Well, and let the butcher girls know down there, they do a lot of processing. Right, that, you know, people are coming in wondering what they can do with it, you know. they
But
can-
if Josie gets any inquiries here, I mean, we can certainly now say to them that we've clarified it, and the carrier is aware of it as well. So, it, you know, if people do put it out as garbage, at least it can be taken.
What is the weight restriction on the bag?
50 pounds?
I think that may be it.
Per bag, you're saying?
Yeah, per bag.
No, I don't think it's 50 pounds, so less than that,
Is it? Okay.
yeah.
That was
Not
50.
exactly sure, but it's in our,
It used to be on our town website, wasn't it?
yeah, it's 50 pounds in one of those plastic bags, wouldn't hold up,
No.
Okay.
probably 20.
Right, we'll check it out.
Yeah.
Once we get the website up, maybe, you know, garbage regulations and things like that,
We'll be on the site.
we'll be on site.
Yeah.
I think that's the proper place.
There's a place where people can ask questions and Josie can answer them later on when she has time.
What else? Now, I think they're trying to get a process, Josie, just for your information, whereby within, if they get a load out there that's non-compliant, like those blue bag issues and so on, they're hoping to get out within 24 to 48 hours to get notice out as to why the load was viewed as contaminated. And they would send out an email and with some pictures that would indicate why the load was non-compliant. They're talking about trying to do that communication from waste management, right?
Okay.
So something to be watching for. I think that's most of it. Now, after the meeting, just as it's still on the garbage discussion, we met very briefly with containerized sanitation. And it was representatives of the towns there, because some of you may be aware that we had a request from them for additional funds for the garbage contract. And I think the rationale was primarily around the issue of the rising cost of fuel. So that may be something that will be on an agenda for down the road. They have indicated that they would like to meet with council or representatives of council to talk about their contract and their request for additional funds. And we've had some preliminary discussion just amongst ourselves here, because the agreement is one, I guess it was a tendering process, Paul?
Yeah.
I believe it was done that way for the 4 municipalities, Stephenville Crossing, St. George's and ourselves. And then whatever the successful bid was, our share of that was our number of households as compared to other households within the 4 municipalities. So there was only a rider built into that, I think, that called for a 2% increase for, I guess if there were exceptional circumstances. And as we all know where fuel went, I don't think 2% is what we're talking about. So there was some indication at that meeting, Josie, that the other municipalities had agreed to additional funds. And I had suggested to Paul earlier that maybe I was just getting this from containerized. So it would be something that maybe we would ask you to do, would be to contact your contacts at the other municipalities and just find out exactly what they did. So we would have that information available when we meet with containerized.
So that would be Stephenville, Steamboat Crossing and
St.
St.
George's.
George's, only three, right?
That's all.
Okay,
And it seems like someone agreed to a percentage increase to the contract, and I think there was some indication that Stephenville may have gone with a per liter increase and agreed on a figure that they would pay them based on fuel that was actually utilized.
Is this gonna be a set price or is it gonna be like a variation as like we see fuel up and down and seems to be heading down, but we don't know that.
Yeah, well, and like, it's a real dilemma now. It'll take care of itself because there's gonna have to be a new tendering process happen, because I think this agreement, this contract runs out this upcoming year in 2023 in May, June,
Yeah,
somewhere in that range. So it'll take care of itself then. But obviously there's some factors to consider, because in a tendering process, if you consider increasing the tender, have you upset any of the balance? Were there other people who may have tendered on that within a level that you're maybe now looking at increasing it to? So I think we have to be very careful before we automatically look at any kind of an increase. But I mean, we do need to have some meeting with the contractor and have some discussion of what their points are.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's kind of a summary of what went on. I don't know if anybody has any questions that I can answer.
well, I think that's good.
It was a good meeting. It was worth going.
Okay, anything on the plan and development side? Anything to report?
We go through those couple of permits.
Did we get anything back on the,
Subdivision?
Yeah.
We have
on some
we haven't-
information?
Yeah, we've got some information. I think the next step now is to turn that over to our town planner
Okay,
and get a recommendation from the town planner.
okay.
One of the things we may need to do with that one is to
Yes,
make
right.
sure that we've got all the current information that he's now proposing, because that one has had so many requests and stops and starts. So I think we need to know exactly what the proposal is now.
The developer has asked for a meeting with us, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're talking McCarthy.
that's McCarthy's link.
Because there was a letter there from the provincial
Yeah.
government about that, approval in principle for that.
But we want to make sure that we got.
Oh, yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but still the town planner.
We have an employee that actually checks and that stuff, like doing it. With the compliances, talking to people, we have to actually have a designated employee.
But normally that would be the CAO, which we don't have right now,
Okay.
right? That's something that's in the process of looking for someone new.
Yeah.
That is one of the responsibilities of the CAO. When permits come in, it's his responsibility to go out and check everything to make sure everything is the way it should be. If he can't make it, then he designates one of the town employees to go out to check measurements, take pictures, things like this, right? And then bring it back to the council and let us know if they're in full compliance.
Okay.
So right now, we're kind of in between. Brian and Derek have been kind of, doing it themselves. But once we get a new CAO, that will be back, the responsibility put back on him, right?
Make it think.
Is it?
That going still right?
We got that long letter.
There was a letter from one of the residents.
Because of the water table issue and so on. Is that the sort of thing that you would call a public meeting for normally, to allow people to put their concerns forward?
Well, concerns been brought forward since this has been started and it's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah.
To me personally, once it's approved by government and the town planner, they're the ones that check out all this stuff.
And I guess environmental, people,
Yeah.
because of the sewerage issue.
Yep,
there.
they check all that out. If they come back, telling us that everything is good, who are we to question them?
Okay.
They got their professionals that's going out and doing it and checking it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
making
thinking
sure.
more of the residents knowing that, listen.
But that was, well,
We listen to your concern.
oh, and we do, because when it was first
And
put
everything
forward,
was approved.
yeah, when it was first put forward, that's in the paper.
Yeah.
So anytime a resident has an issue or concern, they can bring it forward, right? And we will deal with any concerns that are brought forward, but we can't impede.
Well, I know, it's
Develop.
fair to the developer as well, who's invested a certain sum of money, I'm sure, already. To get all the paperwork.
But anything that's brought forward by us, yes, we do our due diligence and look at it and consider it and make sure we respond in a timely manner.
So you say it goes to the town planner after the
Engineer,
engineer?
what's his name again, Joseph?
Chris. Hopper?
Chris.
Yeah, I saw some.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Yeah, no, I think it is, yeah, I called, because I remember calling him.
Because I think that kind of technical stuff, we need to make sure
Yeah.
that's done and
Yes.
that it meets all
Yeah.
those things first, right? But I mean, I agree with Earl, we need to look at what the concerns are of residents.
Oh, definitely.
That has to be taken into consideration as well, and maybe we should provide a copy of the concerns to the town engineer planner.
And to this fellow, who's doing development, that will meet with him.
Yeah.
For him to know what the concerns are.
Answer the legit complaints and.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's fair.
Okay.
What project was it you were just speaking of?
McCarthy's Lane,
Lane,
there's a new subdivision.
No,
14 units. I
Quite,
think.
yeah, quite some time.
a year and off and on,
Yeah.
stuff.
2013, was it 2013
I think so.
that it first came forward?
14. Don't get money tied up.
14 sections.
But this is it,
Gotta
they-
speed that up.
some things come forward and they had to be addressed and then things had to be changed. So this is what I mean. We do look at everything.
Yeah.
And we do look at, like I said, the residents' concern.
I don't think there was any delays that were necessarily caused by council. I think as Paul said, comes forward and then it needs to go to some regulatory body or something needs to happen, or the developer either, doesn't pursue it right at that time, but I believe the first approach, from what we could understand, was back to 2013. I'm going from memory on that.
Okay, so that's it for our reports right now. So I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Yeah,
up to you, sitting home getting cold.
adjourn.
It's really 2 years old, boy, not worried.
Second.
Yeah.
There
There you go. It's all
Are
times.
we-
That's right, we do, don't we? Just reset that, I think, at our meeting, yeah. Not used to.